This conference will now be recorded.
Would everyone please rise for the pledge and invocation? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for all the many blessed things that you have bestowed upon us. We thank you for the little bit of rain that we got. We pray that we can get some more to help our drought. Oh Lord, as we go into tonight's meeting, please guide us in a godly manner, that we make the right decisions, not only for the town, but also for the townspeople. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Looks like all of the council is present. Keith is on vacation. Sergeant
Forgetting.
Sergeant Robbie is filling in for us. Has everyone had a chance to review the 2024 October minutes?
Yeah, I sent Kim one tiny little spelling.
Do we have a motion to accept the minutes in as corrected?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstained, motion carried. Treasurer's report.
Okay. I don't know if y'all got the last revision that sent out a little bit later this afternoon. If you didn't, it's okay. I'm going to word it anyway. The general fund had a balance of $3,071,261.60. The water fund had a balance at the end of October of $1,007,448.66. And sewer fund had a ending balance of $367,902.52. Our CDs are all for town investments. At the end of the month, we had a balance of $2,371,590.37. Other funds, we have our restricted funds, money market, balance of $454,175.40. The American Rescue Plan Funds Act, American Rescue Act Funds account at Middletown Valley Bank, $2,390,008.55. The Water Fund User Fees Account, Money Market Account, ending balance of $2,565,400.73. And our sewer fund user fees money market account with a balance of $119,629.96. Something new that we're going to start to do, just give you guys a little bit of an overview from the month before. Some of the big money transfers that may have happened that it doesn't really dive deep into the treasurer's report and give you those explanations. The month of October, we did receive $28,265 in real estate tax payments. There's still probably $485,000 left to receive. Another installment will be coming in December. $8,088 was brought in personal property taxes. September, reimbursements were transferred out for our water fund. $51,248 and $47,474 from the sewer fund, just the basic due funds. Also in October, we received $12,089 in amusement and admission taxes. September sanitation collections that were transferred in from the water fund was $1,700. We also received local tax distribution of $12,379. We've received hotel motel tax from August of $3,598. And we also received $10,683 in interest for the month of October in the general fund. Some other big things, we paid out $356,450 to Huntsberry Brothers for the paving improvements on some of the town streets. And also, we had an expense of $15,950 for water leak repair patching. We paid out $54,334 to Wells Fargo for our pension plan contributions. And we paid out $35,771.70 to Legit with our employee health insurance. $20,000 paid out to the Cronice Corporation for the National Road Museum bathroom renos. And that is part of a grant that we received for $75,000. And there is a remaining balance of $52,425 in that grant. We changed trash companies, J&J Trash Service. I think they're doing a good job. I haven't heard any complaints. We paid them $17,574 in November for trash and recycling pickup. And then just a few other things. And Brian, thank you. You've given us a lot of detail here. I think we can probably scale back some of what you gave.
I didn't know what you wanted.
Yeah, no, and I probably, if I had more time, I'd probably clean a few of this out. But just basically, from now on, I'm going to go down through this list and just give you some of the highlights of some of the things, because like I said, the treasury report is pretty concise, and it doesn't give you a lot of the detail, and it's nice to know that there's a lot of good things that's happening in the town and how we're able to pay for it. So I won't go down the rest of the list, but next month I'll have it a little bit more concise, and that's all I have for you. Thanks.
Okay, one question, because you did read balances for the restricted fund and the water fund user fee. You read balances above what's actually in the bank because of this closing entry transfer that needs to happen. So that just should be noted, because
Okay,
the
so
offsetting, taking them out of the other accounts.
yeah, there is a note on the report that the $28,602.50 does need to happen.
And the 68,000.
Yes,
That's,
yep,
that will come out of the
Yeah,
water
that's
fund
correct.
checking, so
Yep.
just keep them on.
Any other comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. We have a guest tonight, presentation of our fiscal year 2024 audit. Jason, the floor is yours, sir.
You gonna dance the jig or?
Sure, go right ahead. That's why you're the guest.
So thank you all for having me here to do your audit presentation. I did like that.
Thank you.
That was very good. It's good to get that information out in a minute or two, so.
Yep.
As the mayor said, I'm presenting the highlights of your 2024 audit. We just completed that, which it seems like we just did this a couple months ago, which we did, but that's okay. We're on time this year, so
Yes.
that's great. Each of the council members should have 2 documents, one like this and one with Albright Cronbacker's heading on it. I seem to have misplaced my copy of that letter, but I know it by heart, so that's not a big deal. If you open up your financial statements and go to page 1, we'll just get the meat of it out of the way. Second paragraph, in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, the business type activities, in each major fund of the town as of June 30th, 2024, and the respective changes in financial position and, where applicable, cash flows thereof for the year then ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. So in English, as I do every time, that means that your financial statements were accurate, no issues, no challenges. What you say you have is what we found you to have. No control challenges, anything like that. It's the best opinion we can give, so it can't get any better than that. Let's see. What I'll do now is I'll invite you to look at the back of the packet, because this is always important too. Go to page 46. You will see on page 46, this is our report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters based on an audit of financial statements performed in accordance with governmental auditing standards. So because you obviously are a municipality, we are required to opine on your internal controls, the controls of the organization, and compliance with related laws and such as they apply to the town. And I am pleased to inform you that there were no deficiencies in internal controls and no compliance issues this year. Nothing. There were no comments at all for us to address in a formal setting. Some of the things, we did find some things that could be enhancement to policies and processes, which I shared with staff. Bearing in mind that the advisement can only go so far, so as to not impede our independence. That's why you have your friends at the CLA to implement and take it to the next step. So, but the two most important things are your clean opinion, the best opinion you can give, and we had no findings regarding compliance or internal controls. So, I invite you to go to, beginning at page 4, we have the management discussion and analysis. This is basically a required document, as I say every year. It's a narrative form of the 40 pages behind it, talking very high level of changes in position, finances. If you go look at page 6, page 7, 8, 9, you will see various tables of all the funds, and those tables are what I will base my narrative of comparison coming up on. So if you begin at page 6, you can see for our statement of position, total assets experienced an increase of $644,000 when compared to the prior year. Governmental activities assets decreased $2.4 million, and business type activities increased $3 million. And the primary reason for the variance in the two business type and governmental activities was the transfer of the ARPA funds from general fund to water fund to specifically identify those dollars for the new reservoir. Also note that there was an increase in current assets, cash, accounts receivable, prepaids of 1.1, and an increase in net capital assets for the business type activities due to the completion of the dewatering press and it entering service during the year. Liabilities for governmental activities, we'll back up. Liabilities for the town as a whole decreased $660,000. Governmental activities, liabilities experienced a decrease of $3.1 million. Business type activities, total liabilities increased $2.4 million. There again, that's transfer of the cash and the offsetting liability, unearned grant revenue from the receipt of the ARPA funds. Page 7 is the table comparing our revenue and expense categories. You'll see governmental, business type. Revenues, total revenues decreased $63,000 on the governmental fund. The decrease primarily attributable to increase in tax accounts offset against decreases in parks and recreation and interest. Last year we had a couple grants for parks, and we did get a lot more interest last year because, of course, we had more money in our cash and ICS accounts. Our expenditures under the governmental fund increased $138,000. That increase was due to increase in the general government expenses, I mean, those expenses overall, salary, maintenance, repairs, that kind of thing. The largest portion of your expenses under the governmental fund have historically been back and forth between public safety and general government. Last year, public safety was the big expenditure category. This year, it's general government. Next year, it may switch, but generally, those two are the big users of cash for the governmental fund. Under your statement of revenue and expenditures fund balance, proprietary fund, which is your water and sewer funds combined, total revenue increased by $625,000. Increases can be traced primarily to the increase in water and sewer fees, $137,000, due in large part to your fixed fee adjustment, which was from a audit standpoint, an advisory standpoint, was a good decision. I'm sure the residents, that aside, financially, that was a good call. Interest, $243,000 increase in interest. Again, sort of goes hand in hand with the decrease in interest from the governmental fund, as we mentioned several times. They have more cash from the ARPA. And other income of $383,000. And the other income includes non-operating capital project grants. There were some grants coming in for the year for the completion and the bringing online of the dewatering press. Total expenditures under the governmental funds, proprietary funds increased to $198,000. Those expenses were across the board general inflationary expenses when compared to the prior year. Overall, the net position of the government increased $1.5 million during fiscal year 24. That was comprised of a $680,000 increase in governmental and $787,000 in business type activities, compared to an increase of $880,000 in governmental and a decrease of $360,000 in business type activities during fiscal year 2023. Now, what I will do is I would ask you to turn to page 17 before I issue my conclusion here. Just for a point of reference, I talk about the increase in our operating funds from the proprietary fund, so your water and sewer. So if you look at page 17, you can see that, of course, we did have $787,000 combined at the bottom, third row up, and change in that position, which is a positive number. However, I would invite you to go about a quarter of the way from the bottom, and you'll see our operating income loss for the year. So truly, the water and sewer funds both experienced losses from operations during the year. So I don't want to paint a rosier picture from the proprietary funds than what you really have. And you can see that we had non-operating revenue of $1.3 million, as I mentioned, and you can see that we had, in the sewer fund, we had $1 million in grants, and the water fund, we had $78,000. Of course, we had interest, which is specifically identified under the water fund. Point being, the funds were profitable after the non-operating stuff. So sort of as a numbers backup to indicate that the changes that you are making are needed for the operations. So, and as good financial stewards, that's what you should be doing. And then in conclusion, you can see that the overall net position increased to 1.5, as I mentioned. Unrestricted net position has increased from 5.5 million to 5.7 million at June 30th, 2024, compared to 2023. The overall position remains consistent and constant. Town was impacted positively by current market condition and the large cash balances which you are holding. Not that you're holding them, but you're holding them until the expenses come in, and a significant amount of revenue, grant revenue, that you continue to receive during the year. Charges for services did increase, as they have when compared to prior year, and I would expect them to continue to increase with the changes you have tentatively have planned. We continue to encourage you to continue your efforts to find the funding for projects and repairs via grants. I know we have a lot of things in the hopper. I know there are some changes coming on regarding the possibility of additional management tools, funding, and that kind of things to manage the projects that were going on. You do have good overall expense management and tracking, and we encourage the town to continue to try, as I mentioned, grants and support for major capital projects. That is a very high level overview of the summary of the financial statement. So I know that a few of us met in anticipation of this meeting. We talked over some things. If there's any questions that derive from that meeting you'd like me to expand upon, or if anyone has any questions regarding the financials before I go over the required communication letter, I'd be happy to address them at this time.
Jason, I might just say that when we did our water and sewer fixed fee study, we had a target that we wanted to get to, and we thought it was too much to get to in one shot, so we divided it up. So FY '24 was the first year we raised the fixed fees.
Right.
And maybe you're not aware that we have also done that in FY '25.
Yeah, I have it scheduled because it was part of the minutes. So I know it's going for 7 years, I believe.
That's the proposal.
Yeah, I mean, and it certainly is a large increase and it's done incrementally, but we have been your auditor since 16, I believe, 17. And I know your previous auditor, when we pulled their work papers, that fixed fee had been the same for a number of years that they did it. I feel confident in throwing the number of about 10 to 15 years, probably hasn't been a change.
Right.
And general cost of living and supplies and such have increased. Yeah, every year, 3% is a good rule of thumb. So it's a painful thing, but I think it probably is long overdue. And then after this is implemented, I would probably encourage you to revisit that at least anytime you do any type of planning, every 3 to 5 years.
I'd say we'll revisit it every year consistent with the
And
budget
that's,
cycle.
and that's probably fine too. But once it's done, then you're not playing catch up anymore and it's not as painful. 10 cents is a lot better than $1 or $5,
Did you want to make a comment on the conversation we had about the sewer
Sure.
debt?
So one of the things I've talked about over the past couple of years is, if you look at page, it is page, bear with me, there's a lot of stuff going on here. And we're on page 33, page 32 and 33. So these are the interfund loans between the general and the sewer fund. And I know there's a lot of history and probably no one on this council was involved at that time. I mean, we're talking all the way back to December 2001 when the first loan was issued. But, I've talked for the past couple of years that we have put it off, and I know there have been plans to make payment to the interfund loans from one to the other. But if you read the notes, we were talking $58,000 in 2001 to be repaid in 2012. No payments made. $1 million in previous years, it doesn't even have a date. That was from when we took it over. The loan would be repaid to the general fund. 2020, we did another 250. 21, we did another 500. Now I know during 24, we did $1 million, but that has since been repaid. So, we're starting where we are right now as of today is $1.8 million. The sewer fund owns the general fund. Now, the caveat with that, if you look at the notes, is they say The loan will be repaid to the general fund when the outstanding amounts due from developers from note 18, which is our deferred revenue, are paid in full. The catch is we have allowed for that. So historically, the town has said, there's tap fees that were recognized in advance and the money's already come in. We've already allowed for that. So we're not expecting that money to come in. So, 1 and 1 doesn't equal 2 with this because it's $500,000 of which we allowed for, but we have 1.8 million in the balance. So we're basically, the town is basically saying, if that money comes in, we're going to use all of that to pay off the 1.8, but we're not, because number one, it's not enough. And number two, we don't expect to get any of it for any time in the near future, probably. I mean, I don't know where those developments fit into the plans, but I know that I don't know. I suspect they're pretty far off. I don't recall seeing any of those developments mentioned in the minutes or in any of Mr. Bellin's updates. So the point being, I know you have your repayment. It would be my recommendation to record them as transfers. We've got it. We're 24 years past the initial recognition. You've got this money. It's not going to impact the town's cash flow at all, but as your auditor, it needs to be addressed, and I'm glad to hear when I was doing the audit that there is a plan to start paying that money back. But if you want to start with a clean slate, I guess, with the dewatering press and the costs you're going to save with that, maybe the town would want, I can't tell you what to do as your auditor, but I can say, maybe the town would want to just consider those as transfers, clear the board, and start over from scratch. And there's some baggage that comes along with that, and if folks are concerned that we're letting people off scot-free, to use probably an unprofessional term, but you're really encumbering yourselves with long-term debt that it's not impacting you to get rid of it, other than to start with a clean slate. That would be an advising comment.
And moving forward, obviously, we have a plan that when we borrow, we pay it back.
And you
Show
have,
that.
and you have done that this year. I know that, I think when we had the Weir Wall a couple years
Yes.
ago,
Yes.
there was a
Same
loan
thing.
and it was paid off
Yes.
next year. So this group, I can tell you, as having been your auditor for the past 8 years, the council as it's currently and your immediate predecessors have done a good job of handling these interfund loans as they should have been. So you as a council need to determine how you want to move forward, but as your auditor, I need to tell you that we need to see some retired debt moving forward, either retired via transfers, retired via interfund forgiveness, retired via payment, because we can't carry it anymore as your auditors. It's coming in pretty long. And which is comments I shared with Rachel and Brian, and when Howard and Tony were in during the audit, I shared those with them as well. So it's nothing that the treasurer or the town manager or mayor have not heard during the course of the audit.
Well, maybe I'm speaking a little out of turn, but we did make a minor attempt that we put in some of these general fund payments in our budget as line items.
We did discuss that with Jason.
Yeah, and that's fine, and that certainly meets the effort that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But the question becomes, I don't know what you're determining to pay. That wasn't a subsequent event enough for me to look into it, but are you going to carry this for another 20 years? Do you want to carry it for another 20 years? Do you want your those subsequent councils to be encumbered by this continually? That's something you all need to determine.
Well, maybe.
I mean, really from what I understand over the past 2 years with the dewatering press, I mean, it's going to theoretically dramatically impact the sewer fund in a positive standpoint.
We hope so.
Yeah, I
Right,
mean,
and as you can see, we still lose money every year in our operating of the
Yeah.
sewer fund is what our,
and the biggest thing with your sewer fund though is your depreciation. Non-cash transaction, because it's a business, you have to incur depreciation. As we've talked about, I think you and I talked about when you were treasurer many times. You know, operationally, just from the cash that goes out the door, they do okay, but they certainly can do better, and you're making efforts to do better by cutting expenses with the dewatering press, increasing revenue with the fixed fees, which is all fine. But as I'm sure all of us know from looking at business financials or nonprofit financials that we're on boards and such, depreciation is a cost that you have to take, you know. So to Councilmember Kern's point, if you want to look at page 18, something I share occasionally is, it's our statement of cash flows for our two business funds. So, you know, you're looking at basically a checkbook. What you come in from operating activities, so the water fund brought in $52,000. Cash net, what you brought in from fees, what you paid out with costs for those services, brought in $53,000. The sewer fund brought in $294,000, cash in the door. You know, you had money coming in from this back and forth amongst the funds. The general fund paid $19,000 to the water fund for some reason, not material enough. Then the $1 million we talked about, $188,000, the general fund, could be expenses and they'll timing next year, or that could be the other way around. Obviously, next year when we do the audit, the paid to will be there because we'll have $1 million you paid back. And then, you know, you have cost outlays for acquisition and construction of capital assets. You received $1.2 million in grants. You put out $2 million for construction and acquisition of property, repairs, etc. Same thing with the water fund. Now, that one is a little, well, it's not really overstated, but it is $4.5 million, which really is a transfer from ARPA money because you didn't have a cash flow in the general fund, so it has to be shown here. But, you know, all in all, this kind of gives you an idea, you know, what you're doing. Your operations are producing positive cash flow, but you also have all these other cash flow expenses that you have to pay. So it is impacting your bank account positively, but you know, if you don't have the grants, you'd be in a negative cash position. And that's, you know, everyone's aware of that with the reservoir project coming up. So, but that's a good, kind of a good statement to look at, to kind of give you a feel that sure, we are losing money and we continue to lose money. A lot of it is non-cash with depreciation. But our operating activities are positively impacting the town before we do repairs and we pay all the debt that we have on the water fund, on the sewer fund, and, you know, interest and et cetera, et cetera.
All that said, your recommendation would be just to wipe it off.
I can't recommend, I
Or your-
suggest
but
that
then we got
you,
into.
I suggest you consider it.
We got into the complication of how we book that.
It's just a transfer amongst the fund, and we can, you could,
It was in separate funds.
but it's just an interfund due to, that's what your due to funds are for. I'd advise, because I can't really tell you how to do it as your auditor. And
But if it's sitting in a do to do from, why isn't that any different than the loan? You know what I mean, it's debt.
But it's
But it's
written
different.
as a note, and it was written with the intention of repayment. So, the do to, do from, back and forth, that happens as part of the governmental entity, but, we did a lot of do tos, but got no froms.
Right.
So, I guess I would advise you as a council to consider it, and if whatever path you decide to go forward, I suggest you reach out to CLA if you want to continue that relationship with them. That's simply because I can't tell you what to do with your auditor, because independence rules are so stringent and only suggest.
I can say, I'm not an accountant, I don't follow all
The
of that totally, but that is something we have talked about when we were going through this water and sewer study. So it's not forgotten.
I mean, whatever the town thinks is best, but I just wanted to say that there needs to be some movement as your auditor. I need to tell you there needs to be some movement next year when we do the audit. What you do with that, that's up to you. Sorry, I'm probably taking too much of your time.
That's all right, okay.
Yeah, we're
And
happy
then,
there's no fine.
Yes.
and then real quick, the other document is our required communication letter. It basically tells you our responsibilities, how we put the statements together. We had no challenges with staff. You did no opinion stripping, i.e. we gave you a comment and you didn't agree with it, so you went to another accountant. We had no issues with staff. We had a couple past adjustments which should be attached. And then we had some minor correcting adjustments. Some were provided by the town. Some were discovered during the audit. Nothing outrageous, nothing I would not have expected. Nothing where your accounting, you had an adjustment to your accounts payable that wasn't in your aging schedule. So all that stuff matched. We followed all our ethical requirements. As you can tell, we take that very seriously. And we had no adoption of any new accounting standards this year. So that's all I have.
If you're able to mail this to us, our address is 21 North Main, 210. Just for the record.
What is it?
Oh, you got 210 North Main and the address line instead of 21.
Yeah, I don't know why we get that on communication. 210 North Main.
I don't know. I think that's what your address has been for 9 years and you still get it.
We just caught it, Eric. Goodness,
No,
man. I
I've
can't
seen it.
believe that's like that.
That's been a long time.
Yeah.
I've seen that on other things. One quick thing, 30 seconds or less. What was the other thing you mentioned, Tammy and I, a year ago, about expending these federal monies, there would be an additional audit requirement?
So
Is that in FY 25? Or?
well, you're gonna have, so when you expend, and Rachel has experience in it as being part of grants, if you expend over X amount of dollars in federal awards, direct federal
So
awards.
we didn't hit it in FY 24?
Well, you did.
Oh, okay.
So if you expend over $750,000 currently, that's the standard. It jumps up to $1 million for fiscal year ending 2025, I believe. But if you expend over $750,000 in federal awards, and it can be combined federal awards, so you had, I think, 380 in ARPA dollars for the sewer fund, 78,000 out of ARPA for the reservoir, and then you had, I think, 400 some thousand in ARP grants, maybe 5 in ARP grants. And ARP grants are federal pass-through through the state. So that requires a separate engagement. So I tell you that, which is usually a very involved, painful engagement for the client and for the auditor. Because it's a lot of controls and processes and minutia that the federal government wants you to do.
So that's.
And it can be expensive. Now, there has been the federal government has come out with, and I'm not versed on it yet, I haven't delved into it, but the federal government, because of the uniqueness of the ARPA program, there is a different type of engagement we can do, which is basically a compliance engagement if a significant portion, I think I'm saying this correctly, I'm not sure. If a significant portion of your federal expenditures are ARPA related. So you expended $850,000, just throwing a number around, this year. 350 to 400,000 of that was ARPA related. So obviously, if you didn't have those ARPA dollars, you wouldn't have had the need for this engagement. So if I understand it correctly, we can do this other engagement, which is less cumbersome and less expensive. So that's what we're planning on doing.
For FY24.
For FY24, probably January, February timeframe, we'll reach out to Rachel and get that scheduled.
That's all one.
How much is it, 12,000?
I'm thinking 10, 8 to 10, 8 to 12, something like that, somewhere in that range.
Well, I think Jason said we can actually use the ARPA funds to pay for it, right?
You can. Yeah, you can use federal dollars to pay for this extra audit. It's written into it. It's nice of you, let you do that, but.
Read that anywhere.
That's okay.
And then when you expend, the thought being, if the majority of your federal dollar expenditures going forward will be ARPA based, we still should be able to use this other engagement. But again, I just heard about it. I'm not versed in it. I don't know all the gory details or anything like that. I know we've got a lot of money sitting out there from the county, which is county money. And we've got money from the state, which is specifically state money. So those are like $1 million each. And they are not subject to the federal. So, you could, as far as management, again, CLA could tell you what to do, but maybe you
So they
spend
would
it all at
rather
once.
if the county gave us their ARPA money?
That's passed through, so that's up to the county
Okay.
to reach out to you and make certain you have
Okay,
a single audit. If they need,
because I think some,
if
you know what I mean, I
yeah,
think
if
where
have that
they gave us
engagement.
funding was kind of from that.
yeah, only the last 400, so, yeah. But if we do that compliance engagement on ARPA, it would, if you got 2.4, something like that, in ARPA remaining, we'll say 1.8. But if you do 2.3 expenditure next year in ARPA money, that would include your money that you've received and the county's money. That should meet that compliance.
I can see that can get messed up because Rachel and I had talked about that the county would be reporting that money that they had obligated.
They will.
But now we have to report it in our audit. That's.
You have to report it as well. Yeah, it's called, you are a sub-recipient of their award.
Well,
So the county will reach out. They should reach out. Their auditors should reach out to you as well.
well, didn't mean to get all that as well.
No, that's, that's what we're here for. It's a new thing. I know, like I said, in the last couple of years we've had it, we haven't had any need for anything like that. So it's ongoing. It'll be coming. So that's all I have. If you have any questions or comments, concerns, let me know or reach out. And then I will send the representation letter to you two gentlemen and probably Ryan via electronic means tomorrow.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Thank
Very
you.
good.
I don't have any questions, but thank you you work really closely with us and you're very patient, so thank you for the time you
That's
take.
fine.
and-
You're welcome.
Do you have water leak on you this year or anything? No, we're good.
No. Well, that's the story. No.
We made sure the air conditioning was
The water
working.
leaks and
The AC worked
the AC
and the
for
heat
it.
worked.
Yep.
And, yeah, no issues. So, all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care.
I think we also need to acknowledge the town staff worked really hard.
Yeah,
to
Yes,
get
they
this
They did
done.
really well. Everyone did really well this year, getting everything ready for it. Sorry.
Started pulling information, there was a town manager, and they really were already like pulling double, triple duty, so.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Thanks to the staff.
Yeah, they do a really good job, all of them.
Practically now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
2024 Farmers Market recap. Kathy and Jennifer, floor is yours, ladies.
Excuse me, Mayor, are you going to approve the
Oh,
audit?
do I have a motion to approve the audit? Sorry, presented. Jason.
I'll make a motion that we approve the audit as presented.
Second.
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries.
Nice-
Thanks, Kim.
nice job, guys.
Thanks, Kim. Now, the floor is yours. Sorry about that.
That was fine.
Audit's always on.
Thank you all for having us. For those of you that don't know us, most of you know me. But this is Jen Rabb, and we're co-managers of the farmer's market. Happy Wesley, and thank you for having us. I'd like to hit you at first with numbers from this year. We have a little clicker where we take.
See, you are a
attendance.
numbers person.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's a clicker. It's an easy thing to just go.
But that's numbers, not how many customers.
That's
you have.
true, that's true. However, some sneak in the back door, some sneak in the side door, and we don't get everybody. But this year we had approximately, are you ready? 8,523 people go to our farmers market. Best year yet, and this is our 10th year.
And compared to last year's attendance, which was 8,176, and we thought that was an amazing year. So
Yes.
I should also mention that this year we did have 1 week that we canceled because of the heat, because of the heat advisory and the heat index. So if you add another 300 to that, it would have been even higher.
Right.
Very
Here's a chart of our numbers.
We're very proud.
Yes.
We just wanted to mention that we believe that our Boonesboro Farmers Market is a destination for the community on Tuesdays, and not just for members of our own community, but county. We have people that stop on the way to West Virginia, going home during the afternoons. So we just want to point out how important and valuable the farmers market is to our community.
I don't know how many people have said, oh, I didn't know you were here. This is my first time here. And we have a whiteboard map with the county, the state, the US, and we have people from all over the world that draw a picture of Germany, for instance, or South Korea. You know, it's amazing how much of a variety of people we get to come to the farmers market.
Yes. And in addition, you know, if it is that they are just visiting town, they love it, and I'd say it's quite a highlight to come to the market. So if they're visiting, we had a couple that was staying at the inn, and they came down to the market to get some snacks. So I thought that was lovely.
All right. We have many regulars that come every week too, many of whom we know by name. And one big draw is our huge draw, is our frequent flyer program. And I'll explain that for those of you that don't know about that. Every time somebody comes into the market, we give them one of these cards. Thank you, Kim, for printing these up all season long for us. And every time they make a purchase, the vendor stamps it with their own stamp. And then once they get all 10 filled out, we fill out the back and put it in our cheese barrel thingy. And then
And then at the end of the season, we have a big drawing to raffle off prizes. So I think this year we had 46 or 47 prizes. Many of, well, I think almost all of them were donations.
they were all donations this year.
Yeah. So our vendors donated, local businesses donated, and it was quite an event. We had lots of happy customers. And so we're giving back to them for coming every week and spending their money and their time at our market and saying a little thank you.
Right. And so many of them said, I've never won anything before, and they just get one little thing, you know, and they're just so thrilled, but we're happy with it. Then we've had, several events throughout the season. We do this pretty much every year. During the month of July, we have our mini recycling program. We set up little cardboard boxes and people donate little things like eyeglasses, batteries, K-cups, Brita filters, what else? Egg cartons, ink cartridges. Keep it all out of the landfill. And then the Green Fest Committee takes it and distributes it where it needs to go.
We also, this year started a bring a bag, take a bag program. So instead of giving away free bags, we're trying to get them donated. We just set up a bin and had people drop off bags that they didn't need anymore and pick up a bag. So it was really helpful for people who were just stopping by and never had been to our market, didn't have a bag, didn't think they were gonna need one, and then would come back and pick up a bag because they had all these produce and breads and cookies that they purchased, so.
So paper and plastic bags, or what bag, what kind of bag?
Just whatever people donate.
Yeah, so the shopper bags mostly.
Preferably not plastic.
Okay.
It's usually ones that you get free at a conference.
Okay.
Right.
So,
Or the grocery store.
But we highly encourage people to bring their own to begin with.
Right.
If they can. Let's see, another event, in the fall. Jen, you want to talk about that one?
Oh, well, we try to make it fun for the kids too. So we did a scavenger hunt earlier in the season, and then we did a gourd scavenger hunt physically in the market. So we hid mini gourds throughout the market. They were numbered, and the kids could find them and then let us know where they found them. And they could either keep it or re-hide it. And this went on the entire day for 4 hours. And there were some gourds that were found probably 6 or 7 times, and the kids were just so happy. So that was a fun thing. We were trying to think of other things we can hide next year, early in the season. But it definitely keeps the kids active and busy and enjoying the market.
The other one earlier in the season, just the regular scavenger hunt, was really fun too. Jen had made a chart, and go ahead, you can tell.
No, you tell them.
Well, and it had a picture like of a bicycle or a cookie or I don't know,
Musician.
a musician, and the kids would go to that particular person and they would stamp it, if the stamp of it was a vendor, or go to the closest vendor where this bicycle was hidden, and then they come back and we'd shake their hand.
Yeah, the prize was just the enjoyment of the activity, so, that was cool.
Right, and then what we always do is bring our dog to the market day and take pictures of all the dogs that come, and then one of our vendors, our drop-in vendors, provides biscuits, a little bag of biscuits this year, that we hand out to the owner, and then we post pictures of the dogs. That's all I'm gonna say there.
We have a very busy market, and we just want to highlight that every week this season, we had at least 20 vendors who attended the market. So on a good day, we might have 26, and Kathy and I would be scrambling, trying to find space for everyone to have a perfect spot in the market. And that is a combination of our everyday returning weekly vendors, and then the drop-ins and part-time. And we got a good mix, and we make sure that we vet them so we don't have too much overlap. So you don't want to have 4 sourdough bakers. And I cannot tell you how many bakers we had apply this year. We were overwhelmed by the number of bakers in our community that want to come to our market. And that just shows how important our market is and how our name is out there, that it's a good place to come and be a vendor and sell your business items. And so that is something that we are very proud of. It's our variety. This year we got a microgreen, we got a mushroom vendor, and
Potters.
yes, but we were very happy to get some more variety of local businesses.
Our main draw though, our anchor is our 78 acres, because they have to walk through the market to get to 78 acres, which is good for everybody.
Right.
All right, social media.
Yeah, so we have an Instagram page and a Facebook page. We actively are updating all the time and try to keep everyone up to date on who is coming to the market and share any specials that the vendors have. And also highlight if we have a musician or a food truck that's coming to the market. So,
All right. Jen did a really fabulous job, I think, this year, keeping her social. Thank you very much, Jen. Let's see here. Oh, and then, one of the things that we do, and only a couple other markets, I think, one for sure, maybe two.
Yeah.
And Washington County is, offer the money market, Maryland Market Money Program. For all the SNAP people that are on SNAP, the SNAP programs, do you know what that is? And then the FMMP, the Farmers Market Nutrition Program. The customers can use their benefits, and then $30, they can get a $30 in tokens, I guess, on top of what they get with their SNAP entry with their credit card. And then that just really increases their spending value each week.
right, and it's a great way to increase their ability to purchase. So 78 Acres is one of our vendors who takes these special farmers market nutrition vouchers, and they can go buy their fruits and vegetables for $30, come to Kathy.
Or more,
Or
whatever they
more.
want to spend.
Let's say they spend 40 then, because they have lots of tokens or coupons, and then Kathy will double it up to 30, and then they can take that $30 and go purchase bread, or meat, or cheeses, or cookies for their family, so.
No alcohol, however, and no crabs.
But it was a good program, and this year we had a lot more seniors who did participate. So the word got out to, I think, the senior center or the council on aging that we did participate, and they were sending their customers over to our market. So did get outreach there.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So I think Jen agrees that we're the gold standard in accounting.
Yeah.
And with that, Jen, you want to tell them about our,
I mean, we're pretty proud. I mean, I don't know how far it goes beyond like the paper, but the Herald Mail had its Tri-State Best of contest this year. And we did come in second place for farmers markets in, I guess, the tri-state area based on the Herald Mail's poll. And we came in second to the Pennsylvania Dutch Market, which is like a big business. And so I mean, that's. Right.
and then Martin's Farm Market in Myersville, which is also.
Right, so we're right there in the middle, people feel like we're competitive to them, and we got nominated, and in all the nominations received second place.
Yeah.
And we didn't campaign that hard, but we got the word out.
So I told everybody I know who voted, but, anyway, I'm pretty proud of that accomplishment.
That was the best news you all ever made, but moving from the park over to that place.
Yeah, location.
It is
Because it's visible.
Exactly.
very visible. It can get hot.
I know,
Yeah.
so we're gonna work on that. We're gonna new and improve things, you
But-
know,
yeah.
for next year, and better than ever.
Every year gets better. Every year gets
That's
better.
good. It sounds like it.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Congratulations, and thank you all for all the hard work you do.
You probably doing like a Christmas market or like something before Thanksgiving.
Well, the one vendor that did that before at the Legion, he didn't get enough
Gotcha.
input from our vendors, but he had a lot of vendors that we didn't have. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know,
why
we
they
take-
didn't
Yeah.
take.
And personally, I think we take this as a break. We're on a break.
Yeah.
Because in about a month or so, Kathy and I will be meeting with our group to start up the process for
I think that's a
applications for
lot,
next year.
from March to
And then-
October, yeah.
Right, so we start the applications first of the year, so.
Very good job.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. You're welcome.
It doesn't look like anybody signed up. Right? No public comments? Hey, Brian, thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good job.
Okay, Public Works Superintendent's report. Greg?
I'll make it fast, Mayor.
No public comment. Nobody signed up.
Starting with the public works side of it, all the parks have been closed up and winterized for the winter. We are now actually starting to put the Christmas lights up. They got to be done by the first week in December. The disc golf, we laid it out today with the gentleman that designed the course. I walked all with it, it's all laid out, so that's going to be going in, he said, like anytime. They said they want to have it in for the ground freeze is completed. So I just wanted to let you know.
Good.
On the water and sewer side, 132 Orchard yesterday, we had one hell of a backup, sewer backup. It come up out of the manhole into the ground. It's been like the same thing for the last 10 years. Last 3 times we've been up there, it's flushable whites and grease. It's all coming down from St. Paul Street, comes down in and runs right in behind the people's house and back out on the Orchard Drive. So we had to get right over down here. Hours later, they finally got it unplugged.
Coming down St. Paul
It
Street.
comes in off of St. Paul Street, yes. I mean, it's just, they say they're flushable, but they're not flushable. Pete knows, they just destroy his stuff out of the plant.
Yeah.
That's all they do. And then they just, luckily they backed up in the spot where there was no public harm.
So what do we do, Greg? A mail order with next water bill or something?
Yeah, you make sure Kim reminds Kim to put something in the newsletter about the,
Yeah, but maybe, it's been in the newsletter before.
Yeah.
so
You're not
maybe-
gonna change people's bathroom habits.
Right.
You wanna clean
Yeah.
up.
you're not, but at least
That's
at
what
least
it
we're
is.
putting it out, at least we're putting it out
You
there.
never know. I mean, I don't-
Well, I'm not saying not, but I'm thinking like we need something else, because I know it's been in the newsletter.
We didn't know they were bad until a Palmer friend of ours just happened to see them when he came to our house and was like, "You guys don't use those, do you?" Yeah, and he's like, "They will destroy your
Something,
septic."
maybe some kind of creative Facebook
just
post
tear
or
up
a pump
something,
and a
gets
pump
people
station too, won't
talking.
Oh, that's true.
Start cutting it out with a razor.
It's worth putting it in there, tell people, put it online. Washington County puts it online, you see that it tears their pumps up all the time.
Yeah.
They're always posting it on there. Kim actually posts it on Facebook every once in a while. Then, we'll stay on the sewer side. Brandon is finished on the town of Bridgeport side. Everything's been tested, hooked in, ready to go. Of course, they're waiting on Huntsbury to do his side. So the Huntsbury Brothers is gonna come in and put the ground and pump and all that stuff in, but we're completely done with everything for us.
Everything passed?
Everything passed, you know, them guys were so fast, they ran it out of there 2 weeks tops. They put all that sewer line in and tested it and going.
That state highway's gonna make you fix the road.
They are.
It's already pretty bad.
It's gotta be a 2-foot cut.
Yeah, they got it cut up.
Whoops.
So everything else out on the Easter days was going fine out there. We were almost completed, and today we had to issue another stop work order. They breached the contract. So, you know, I'm sure Rachel will tell you more about it. I just wanted to let you know that we did issue another stop work order. For a
They
breach,
can't listen.
for a breach, yeah, they were almost done. Everything, what happened was we were on the very last test and the sewer line kept failing. And it wasn't even half hour later, here comes one of these flying up in there, right up beside the town truck, 10 foot away from it.
So part of the agreement they breached is that they're not supposed to be on the premises while town staff is on the premises.
So the last thing is with all these town inspections, so we used to have an in-house engineer do all this stuff. When he left, I took it over. I had no problem doing it. I'm very well qualified to do it. The bigger it's getting, the worse it's getting. It's stretching me like super thin. Like I can't put 100% of my time in the public works anymore. Like I go in there, tell the guys what to do. I might not see them till the next day. They leave at 2:30 and I'm still here doing inspections. So I'm getting that Dean South getting ready to come. You got Battlefield Estates. You got Highs.
Stick around, and listen to my report later.
We're just gonna have to, we're gonna have to figure something out. Something's gonna have to be done.
And currently he doesn't have a crew leader either, so he's really depending on his guys to step up and do more than really their jobs.
Yeah. Lucky I got a good bunch of guys that I can tell them what to do. Like Ryan Ward's been here for 10 years. I'll tell him the Christmas lights need put up. I don't have to worry about it. I know he's gonna get out there and put them up correctly.
But we might not always have that
Yes.
situation, so we need to be preparing for that.
It's a lot. We actually, I was telling Tony about it, but I'll see if Rachel may put it up next meeting. We'll show you this new raking app we have. It's pretty slick. You guys can check it out.
It is nice.
It documents everything. It'll be there forever. It ain't like all the paper notes I have. Everything's done on the computer. It can be sent. I can send the share link to any of you guys.
It is nice.
That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions of Greg?
Oh, one more thing. The walking trail.
That's what I was
That's
gonna
what I
ask.
was gonna ask you.
I've called, Drew's emailed him. I called again today. I said, look, can I talk to the owner, which is Brad Huntsbury? He's in Vegas. All the big shots are in Vegas till Thursday. So I have no update on you for the walking trail whatsoever.
Did the pipes get rerouted though, or?
I finished.
Greg did that, he saved us $10,000.
It was a mistake. Drew contacted the engineers, and it was a mistake. They never took it out. They said the county wanted them to take it out of the drawing, so it was in the sequence of construction, but it was never put onto the actual drawings. So they wanted $10,000 to do it. I had free pipe from the county already laying back at the shop. We knocked it out like a half a day.
Yeah, that's great news.
So it's done, ready to go.
Like, we're still just waiting to get it paved. then.
Waiting to get them, they're gonna put the stone down and the pavement at the same time. They just took the roller. There was a roller across from Mary Lee's. It was there forever.
Yeah.
Now it's missing. So I think they're playing off where they can choose, but they're
So if they win big in Vegas, we're not gonna see them, but if they lose, we'll be back soon.
Yep.
Is that what?
manpower. That's what I keep hearing. Every single time they keep telling us manpower. Can't find nobody work. Can't find nobody work. I'm like, shouldn't have been off more. You can choose.
Because of all this good weather, it could have been finished.
It has to be warm out too.
35 and rising.
Thank you, Greg.
You're welcome.
Pete?
On the water side, everything's running okay. I'm still waiting on the spring pump to come back for Keedysville, so I haven't gotten that back yet. As for the well down here in the park, we finally got the okay to hook it to the water plant. Everything's good, it's passed, so hopefully we'll be done that soon. I called Phillips, and they're trying to work it in their schedule now, and they're gonna get back with me, let me know when they're gonna be able to get here and get that thing finished, and we'll be done with that, and then we'll have to start doing the work on the other well, getting it built and abandoned and taking care of that. On the sewer side, everything's running pretty good. I still have both pumps go down now about 34. So I'm now back to the old one that has the bad mechanical seal in it. So I had to hook a pump up in it while it pumps the water out, which pumping it into the hole at the same time. So the other new pump will not be here until at least the 18th. So what they're saying is still that the supply demand is really still backed up. But as soon as we get that one, we get that one in, and then hopefully we just repair the mechanical seal on the one that's working now. It's just leaving water out all down inside. So now I gotta pump it out every time that's pumping the water out of the wet well. So we're managing it, we're keeping it going still for now. Out at the sewer plant, having HRI come back, having their contractor come back to redo all the wood in the storage building for where we put all the poop. They didn't apply it the right way. I had them come back. Everything they did was put a bunch of nails in it, which ain't gonna work. So I told them they have to come back and tear it all back off, put a new up, put it the right way, or cover it up with the same stuff they got and just put another layer on, which will just make the building more stronger, so we're pushing up against it. Which hopefully they'll go that way, but I don't know what they're gonna do here soon. But don't talk to engineer Dave Pedersen about it. He's enforcing it too with me, so. I'm not gonna let them get away with it. We're just gonna make them do it right, spend a lot of money on that place.
Yes, we did.
Not to do it the right way.
So Peters, it's not an issue with the manure itself, it's just the construction of the building.
Right, they put, it's supposed to be a tongue and groove they put in, well, they didn't hook none of the groove, the tongue to the groove. It's got gas in it, and you're not supposed to use nails in pressure treated wood either, because over time, that's just gonna pull right back out, and as the wood dries up, it shrinks. It doesn't hold, so you gotta use screws, and they just did a real terrible job on applying it, so we'll make them come back and redo it. Good. But other than that, everything else in the sewer plant right now is working good, so no problem.
Thank you, sir. Anybody got any questions of Pete?
How's the bee situation at the sludge?
What's that?
The bees, is Jesse safe?
What's, what?
Bee
The bees.
situation.
Oh, the bees, yeah, they're probably, I haven't seen it anymore, so they came back and hit it again. Yeah.
Is he deathly allergic to them?
He says he'll swell up real bad and has to go to the hospital if he gets stung, so, yeah, that was a huge nest really quick. And I did talk to Jeff from HRI, he's gonna have a contractor come and seal that up better so that can't happen again either.
Does he have an EpiPen with him? Does he carry one?
What's that?
Does he carry like an EpiPen with him in case he gets stung?
I guess he's got all that, but I don't think that'll still work, because with that many bees,
Someone should.
there's like 1 million bees there, quick. It was the biggest yellow jacket nest I've ever seen in my life.
Well, let me tell you a quick story. A buddy of mine just got stung by a bunch of bees and killed him. The Zeppelin pen was in his work truck. He got stung and in a nest, couldn't get to his truck, died of fever.
Can you check with him to make sure he does keep an EpiPen close by? Or I hate to be all motherly on him, but.
But maybe we can keep one like there in that vicinity as well as like.
He got a real bad, I'll have one in his shirt pocket.
I'll find out. He has it or not. Usually he's big on his health, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Good. Thanks, Pete. Town manager.
Jason was talking about how much grant funding we have, and that's actually one of the top things. Really have a lot of time I need to be dedicating to grants. Because, all 6 reports for our Rural Maryland Economic Development Fund grants are due soon. The pickleball application turned basketball court repaving. I submitted the revised application and it needs more stuff added to it, so that's really turning into a lot more than I thought it would be. For all the bonds that we have, DGS opened a portal. So instead of submitting everything by email, it has to go into this portal. So I'm also in the process of going back. Any bonds that we've gotten since 2017 have to be loaded in there. So some of the stuff they are slowly putting in, but the majority of it I'm having to put in so that when it's time to get reimbursements, it's ready to go and we don't have to wait on our money. So just a lot of time being put into grants right now. And I had kind of said I didn't want to have any more grants until the current ones were under control, but I do actually want to apply for the FY26 Project Open Space grant to do an all-inclusive playground, because over the weekend, on Saturday, there was an incident in the park. I don't know if any of you are aware. There was a child, I think he was 7 years old, who has autism spectrum disorder. He was stuck in one of the baby swings, which he shouldn't have been in the baby swing, but he has issues with regular swings, and we don't have an all-inclusive swing that is large enough for a 7-year-old. So
About the one at the police department, Amy pointed that out to me. It looks like it can hold her older kid.
So
and
there's,
and she's run teens out of it.
I've run teenagers out of it.
okay, well, that's good
So if
to
they
know.
get some of that bigger one.
Thank you, I'll
at the
tell her
park.
that. I knew that we had some for 2 to 5-year-olds, but then there's a bigger size for
Yeah.
like 6 to 10.
I think this is probably one, Greg, you would know better than me. It's probably one rated for a 2 to 5-year-old, but it's pretty, like I say, I've run teenagers out of it.
Okay. Well, there's a difference, like there's a little lap part for smaller kids that's not there for the bigger
This
kids.
comes down over
Yeah,
and there's
they're
it
exactly
comes
the
right
same
up.
Except that lap part. I'll take
Yep.
a look at it.
Yep.
I forgot about that one, but she just asked, I mean, it was a pretty traumatic experience for the family, as you can imagine, and she asked if we could possibly get one of these bigger swings. So I looked into it. It's gonna be about $800. So I do want to see if we can possibly swing that. I didn't know, I'd really rather have multiple options for kids with special needs. So grant funding is going to be a must. So
That should be, there should be enough money for that in the park equipment budget for $800.
I don't know. We already had to replace one piece of equipment like
Yeah,
right
we got
as I
three-
was
we've got
starting.
$3,000 in the budget, we spent 17.
Okay, all right, thanks.
It's the only time this has ever happened. I mean, how many autistic 7-year-olds are we getting involved in school?
Well, like I said, it shouldn't have been in the swing. I'm not really sure why they put him in a baby swing. But that being aside, I mean, that's not the point here. I don't know how often it happens, but our park is frequented by, and people come from how far away?
Yeah, long ways.
To our park,
County.
and it's kind of
South
becoming a
County.
more common thing to have all-inclusive equipment. So I think it would be a nice thing, and I think that this would be a shoo-in for POS grant funding. It's just a matter of all the time it takes into doing that. So, I do want to make that a priority though. We met with several of the residents from the Valley View Court and St. Paul Street townhouses last Thursday. It was a small group, so we were able to have a really good discussion, and I think that we know the top priorities that need to be addressed. So it went well. It was very civil. I'm kind of starting to gear up for the FY26 budget prep. I want to start right after Christmas, 1st of January for that. So I've kind of started taking note of some things that can be improved with the next cycle. And then the last thing is kind of random, but the Mr. Christmas Turkey Trot 5K, I wanted to pass that along. The Mr. Christmas organization asked to help get the word out about it. There's no entry fee for the 5K. It's just donations of non-perishable foods for food banks or monetary donations towards their adoptive family program. So that's Thanksgiving morning at 8:30 in Schaefer Park.
Tony, sounds like another medal for Tony.
I think I did it last year. I don't think I ran last year. I think Kim and I walked. Pretty sure when we donated.
It's walk or run.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
When is this?
It's Thanksgiving morning.
Thanksgiving morning.
I'm coming for you, Tony.
All right. You won't get my medal. but-
Thank you.
Hey, Rachel, can Catherine help you with that public open space grant? I mean, I'm just asking.
Catherine's fantastic and she's very helpful, but, the main part that she helps with is the writing,
Okay.
not the
Not the gather.
collecting
Okay.
data,
Okay.
getting quotes, all
Okay.
that stuff,
Alright.
the really time consuming part, so yeah, she can help, but.
So when you say that the townhouse meeting went well, do you want to give us, do we have thoughts or a plan or?
We haven't really formulated a plan. The biggest issues are the maintenance of the roads, and Greg already filled in the potholes with, extra millings we had. He said it took 15 minutes, which again, that was another thing that Greg just volunteered to do, so just pointing
Got
that out.
several comments about that, so
Yeah.
thank you all very much.
So, I mean, we've already started addressing that, but Greg said that it can't, it's not just gonna be like a million overlay, it has to be like totally redone. So Drew pointed out that we're gonna have to be repaving Greensboro Mountain Road in about a year, so might be able to, might be able to do it at the same time, that's just kind of like a thought, we could probably get a good deal on it. We are getting about $5,000 more in highway user revenue in FY '25 than we planned, and then I think they're also estimating we're gonna get more in FY '26, but I don't know the number off the top of my head, so we might have a little more highway user that we could do, but the roads are the biggest thing, once
So what
we
about
get,
the plowing issue?
well, once we get the roads fixed, then we can plow, and that's the other thing, so it's, you already do Valley View, so it's just
Yeah.
St. Paul, so it's like 2 seconds, like, well,
I used to plow it all the time until it got real bad and it started busting my plow, so I stopped going in. Skip Coleman used to have me plow it, because an older lady that lived up there. As soon as the roads got real bad, then I stopped plowing.
just starting to do that part of it, that is the biggest issue. I mean, they had some other things they're concerned about, but those would be the top priorities to get addressed, so.
Is there any repercussions with us though doing that, not owning it or what?
Not
That's
that
what I'm
I
worried
can,
about.
not that I can think of.
Does that
because-
trickle over to Fletcher's Grove?
That's what I'm worried about. I don't
Because
wanna
those
start
guys were just in here
precedent.
3 months ago saying, we want work up there.
That's what I just said, I don't wanna
They have,
precedent.
They have an HOA.
they have their own
That is
HOA.
the big difference.
I saw where Mary Lee was going and I was thinking the
Yes.
same thing.
Yeah, I just don't wanna,
They
you know what I
have
mean,
their
I
own
just,
HOA.
the gray area. Yeah, but they had an HO too that dissolved, so.
But theirs haven't dissolved.
never
Right, but the incentive
Yeah,
would be
you're
to
right.
dissolve
Basically,
theirs
they
to
never have.
get, you know what I mean,
Well,
to
that's
get out of the
just
I've been
because
there
they,
for about 6 years.
so the difference is just because they dissolved the HOA doesn't mean that the town has to accept the road.
Right, I just don't
There's
wanna
a
start a
difference in-
precedent.
Yes, but this situation is already unique because these issues have been going on for a long time. These issues, we have history where these issues were brought before the council years ago and it just kind of dropped. So I think that we have a
Right,
responsibility
and
to
my
put
point
forth.
is, do we want to go ahead and like get that road or whatever? Like, you know what I mean, like if it's gonna be ours to be responsible for, shouldn't then it, that somehow be documented?
That would be part of what we would need to do. But just because we do it in this case doesn't mean that every HOA in town needs to dissolve so that we can.
Right,
take
I
over.
just, and I know, and I get that, I just, you know what I mean, you
No,
start that rabbit
I
hole
see
and
where
then,
you're-
you know, I just wanna make sure we don't.
There-
Is there an attorney
Do a rabbit
legit that
hole.
can help us acquire that road? Write something up, I mean, a deed, something needs to be written up saying that we own that road then.
We had a drafted deed from, that Drew found years ago that was never signed. But, so we have like a starting point. We
I
could
bet
go-
you every homeowner in there would sign it. Given it to
Well, and then
us.
I just worry about what happens if you pave the road and then the parking spaces.
The roadway area would include the parking spaces.
Yeah, but we don't own the parking spaces.
No, we own the parking spaces.
We do or we don't?
We would.
We would, okay.
We do now on
Because
Valley
if we
View.
own the parking spaces, then what happens when so-and-so parks in someone else's parking space, because there wouldn't be that
It's all
anymore
public
if they're
parking.
public. You know what I mean? I'm just being devil's advocate as to, there's a lot of things to think about there.
Well, it's not like we resolved all the issues in a 1 hour meeting, but the
Right,
important
I
thing
just
is
wanted to
that
know.
we're trying
Right.
and they had a chance to come and identify the biggest issues so that we have a starting point. And I think it was pretty clear that the road from St. Paul is the starting point.
But they understand you are only gonna be doing plowing the road and not, I mean, that's what because I've heard.
We
that
didn't
they're
agree
very-
to do anything.
There was
I
no
made-
agreement made.
Made it very
It was
clear
listen
that we're not
and
solving
collect
issues.
information only, and then.
So is there gonna be another meeting? Or is this the end of it? I mean, what's happening next?
What's happening in my spare time, we will work out how we're going to proceed with this, with the deed and everything.
Thank you, ma'am. Raleigh, I'd like to thank your department for helping that young man out and getting the fire company down there to get him out safely. Thank you all very much. I'm not finished yet. I was just thanking him because we were talking about that with the park.
Sorry.
Yeah, I haven't forgot about Drew. Drew.
We can forget about it.
I couldn't do that.
Y'all received my report, just update on a couple of the priority projects that you've identified. The reservoir, contracts have all been signed, bond has been posted. Get ready to schedule the pre-construction meeting and issue notice to proceed. You have something else on your agenda this evening that we need to have to start that process. So we'll see how things go tonight because we need to get whoever the construction manager is on board. As far as the high pressure line for Crestview, which we know has to happen in concert with the reservoir. You recall that we asked state highway permission to run the water line on the bridge. That was a big no. Now we have to go underneath the stream. There's a meeting tomorrow with the engineers and MDE out there for the stream crossing. We need to reach out now to the HOA from Crestview and get a construction easement. So we're gonna start that process now. I think you guys have been kind of given some updates of where all that is, but we're gonna have to reach out to them now and get that construction permit. On the development side, you've got Chase 6 is moving forward. That's tied to Chase 6 and the interconnection, obviously, with Mapleville Road or Maple Avenue. That's going very well. We're working with Mr. McAwee right now. We're working to get permission from the Board of Ed before Mr. McAwee owns his new lot, that we can build his business shed over there so it's out of the way. The big key to remember with all this, and this is something that Rachel and I are working with the design engineers and we're working with everybody, is I spent a number of mornings and a number of afternoons out at the school complex at the different entrances and exits. And I don't know any way possible to do this job without redoing Campus Drive while the school is closed. I don't know how you can do it.
You can't.
So what that means is everything in the construction must be geared to doing Campus Drive this summer. I don't care if they do all the stuff on the sides, on the other side, but the Campus Drive, they have to start the first day school's out.
Yes.
And they can do it. They can do it. They do have enough time. It's tight. Everything's gonna have to be lined up, but we have to shoot for that. Because folks, you know it, you live here. If you take that road completely out of service, I don't know how it's gonna work. I mean, I don't even know how it would work.
Could be right down St. Paul Street again.
It is right now.
Center.
It's right now.
So I'm just telling you, everything that we're working, we may have this crazy looking schedule. The project might start in March and they get everything done. And all of a sudden they come in and you're looking at this big gap. Why haven't they done? Why haven't done it? And that's simply because I don't know how you can, if you take Campus Drive out of it, I don't know how you could have any flow there during normal school hours.
You can't.
I don't think you could. So that's where we are with that. Might be having a Board of Appeals case for a property down here at 121 South Main Street. It's an existing single family home. They're in the TR district. They can with special exception. do an apartment. They want to do a 4-unit apartment. So I'm going to be having to reach out to the Board of Appeals and start that. They do want to move forward with that. I have talked to the individual. He had some issues with putting up some signs and some other things, not knowing the way things were done in town business. He has since gotten his dumpster permit. He has removed the sign. He is filing the necessary paperwork to go through, and he actually had a county inspector go through today at the renovations he's been doing to make sure he has all the appropriate permits. He wants to follow all the rules. It is a permitted use if the Board of Appeals grants it. If the Board of Appeals does not grant it, then it would stay a single family home. So he's requested that. He hasn't paid his fee yet and submitted his paperwork yet, but he said he's going to. So I anticipate that there will either be a Board of Appeals meeting either later this month or in December, depending on the timing. There is advertisement requirements and notice requirements that have to go to the surrounding property owners. The property has to be posted for a certain number of days. I haven't looked at all that. He just told me this morning when I spoke to him that he wanted to move forward with it.
So this is the, did he get the permit to work even outside the house now?
Yes.
Okay, this is the one that I had gotten an anonymous email from a neighbor because he saw him he said he saw them taking the chimney down and he didn't know if they had a permit even, so. Okay, so he does have the permit, so I can let them know.
He does have the permit, and there is gonna be a number of notices going to all the property owners to move forward. And I did, to Mr. Riley is his last name, and I basically, Staley, I'm sorry. And Tyler Staley is his name. And I said, Tyler, you need to talk to your neighbors because they're all going to get certified letters. Before you even waste your time with a Board of Appeals case, I suggest you talk to your neighbors. Because if they're going to oppose it, it's not highly likely that the Board of Appeals is going to approve it. So it behooves you to meet your neighbors, talk to your neighbors, because I'm going to be sending them letters explaining that there's this case. Makes a Board of Appeals case very easy if your neighbors all come in and everybody's happy and everybody understands. It's a completely different Board of Appeals case if everybody didn't know a thing about it, have no idea, and something like that. So we'll see whether he does that or not. That's the purpose of why we have the notification, to make sure everybody does get notified. So I kind of went over everything in a high level view, but any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I have lots of questions.
Go for it.
But the first comment is, when he finds out he has to pay another 60 grand in tap fees, he might change his mind.
Correct. And I've explained that to him.
Did you tell him 60?
I told him it depends on how many units he puts in and what his fixture unit count is. If he puts in 4 units, it's 3 additional taps. So it's 60,000. Yeah.
So looking at the report, I must give Drew a nod. So these reports are clear, concise, keeps this stuff on our mind. Just a good job, Drew. The first thing here, good old 50 St. Paul Street. I see Anita sat here, God bless her, thanks for her patience. I've seen county permits and inspection department addressing work without a permit. So indeed, they have done this work without the proper permits.
That's what the county has told me.
Okay. And I went up there and looked at some of the work they've done, and not only did they do it without a permit, it's crappy work. But besides that, I go up by there all the time. Friday, they were up there blacktopping the driveway, and it's a terrible looking crappy job. Yesterday, they were rolling out sod. They had trucks full of sod up there rolling out. Today, when I went by, they're watering the sod. They have every intent of selling that place, even with all this stuff going on. So I don't know what we're gonna do about it, what we can do about it, but I just wanted to pass on to you that that's what I have observed. I'm sure she's observed more, but that's a whole kettle of fish. The second place I wanted to go, Greg stole my thunder. If you just
Way to go, Greg.
Yeah,
Nice.
if you just scroll through Drew's report, honestly, we have the preserve at Fox Gap in there. We have Dean South. We have the Kushner property down here beside the library, 60 to 64 units. We have King Road Associates possibly being sold to a builder. we have Battlefield Estates beside of me, 48 single-story cottages, which I'm in favor of, that's fine. And I'm not here to say we don't need this stuff or anything like that, but what I am here to say is, it's right here in front of us, and it points right to this comp plan. We've talked about phasing in the Planning and Zoning Commission. They all sat around, nodded their head. They talk about impacts to roads, schools, emergency services, police, town staff. You just heard Greg talk about everything he's, working on. I told him in the last Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, I wasn't real polite perhaps. I said, well, it's time to get to it. I've heard about this comp plan too much. Let's get to it. I'll remind us that we have 92 water taps available right now. We know the new reservoir is coming, but the new reservoir is not going to be online until calendar year 26 at best. So I'm just trying to say we have to do the right thing here. We have to move ahead appropriately, correctly, be proactive, not reactive. And I talked to Drew a little bit this afternoon about this. We're trying to think of ways to get planning and zoning to kind of move ahead a little bit. And this is not to stifle building, really. It's to do it correctly so that the infrastructure can keep up with as these things happen. So Drew threw an idea out there this afternoon that we're going to approach planning and zoning with. And his idea is basically, can we do an interim comp plan? Simply dust off what we have and just update it. It's from 2009, it's 15 years old. So I'm going to be sitting here 3 years from now, hearing about planning and zoning is working on the comp plan. I mean, this thing just gets under my skin. Let's do something. Either get the real one done or move ahead with this interim. Is that fair, Drew? And that's
Very
all
fair.
I have to say.
Very fair.
So, comments, suggestions, we just can't let Greg, the police department, all the infrastructure just get overwhelmed because all this stuff's gonna happen. I mean, Battlefield Estates is gonna happen, Dean South is gonna happen, something's gonna happen at King Road. And I think the gentleman's gonna sell this 38 acres down here beside the library.
Well, and then the rest of Fletcher's Grove one.
Dean North.
That is.
I thought there was another portion that was.
Dean North.
Okay.
Dean North.
North.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's
I mean,
Dean
there's
North,
two
Dean
Deans.
South, Dean
It's
South.
behind Kennard Circle.
Well, yes.
One of them.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I'm not here to try to stifle, that's just not the way to do it, but we have to do this correctly and not let everybody get overwhelmed, because when that happens, people will be in here and we'll be the ones that will be facing this. So thanks for your time, Mr. Mayor.
You're very welcome.
I have one question. What was the update on the sludge permit? Didn't someone say we passed and we, to be able to get rid of?
We got the
sludge?
MDE permit to be able to land apply our dry sludge. We did get that.
Okay,
It has a lot of requirements,
okay.
but yes, we did get it.
So what's our next step then to be able to get rid of it? Like, didn't you say we had to, it would be best to use a company to facilitate?
Right now, I haven't.
Because I know we have a farmer wanting to use some. I mean, if that's gonna generate us a little bit of revenue.
That's the thing about though,
Yeah.
the farmer does it, they have to go get a $75,000 permit to do it.
Right.
They're not gonna be able to afford to do that. So you gotta go through a company like Centro, and I'm trying to get a hold of them, I'm waiting for them to get back.
So I
to
think,
me,
do
which
we
they
need to
haven't
like
yet.
write up an RFP to get bids for that? Is that a sole source company? I mean, like, what has to happen there is the next step to get that moving forward?
I would say that, let Pete get a hold of them. I think having a backup plan is always good. I think Synagro is a good thing. I think we should probably, I'll talk to Pete about it, but I would reach out just to Washington County landfill
Oh,
as an emergency backup, because they are landfill. We can take it to a landfill, or where can we take it if we can't find a Synagro or something like that? You always gotta have a backup plan for things like that.
We got the permit to hold to the
So we have that. We just need to probably set something up with Washington County in case we had to haul it there. and then look for a better deal.
Well, we've got plenty of space, like we're
Right.
not gonna be needing to haul it anytime soon, right?
Well, and yeah, and one of the things that we don't know until we actually do a full year of this, how much savings do we really get, okay? And we need to find these things out. Again, it wasn't really, Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse really didn't get that thing tuned in until about a month or two ago.
It took a while. We're still looking for a better polymer. It's just hard finding one, like we got anaerobic digesters, which makes it harder compared to the aerobic places.
My point is, every time that I had gone down there for the first month or two after it became operational, sometimes it was running, sometimes it wasn't while the guys were working it out. Basically, almost every day I go down to the sewer plant, they're making the sludge cake. And it's building up. And so, I mean, we have plenty of room. That's why I have the storage facility. There is interest. Tracy called Greg.
Right.
He wants to walk through the plan. He wants to see that.
Yeah.
The reason, what I'm saying is, what we don't know is what is our savings.
Right.
So if we find out at the end of an operating of a fiscal year that we saved, I'm making this number up, $500,000. And if we take it to the county landfill, it's gonna cost us $100,000.
Right.
But if we pay the permit for Tracy's family and he takes it all, and it's $75,000, we save 25, maybe it's worth it.
It's thing of it, it's just gonna be.
I don't, we don't know until we get into some of these costs.
Even at the permit, you gotta go to land, test all that every time. You gotta check the pH, the nitrogen, the phosphorus levels in it. There's a whole lot. That's why you wanna go through a company.
Right.
They'll do it for you a whole lot cheaper. And if you find the farmer's forum and it's really close to us, that really brings the price way down. So that's why I need to get a hold of Centergrow and get them here, but they're just being hard to get a hold of right now. I will get them an answer sooner or later. But well, once I get with them and they'll give us a better idea of what's gonna cost us.
That's kind of what I was thinking there, Drew struck on it. If Tracy wants to land apply, it's our farm that he's renting. So we gotta buy a permit. How does that all work?
Well, but he has his own farm too, but yeah, he
Yeah.
does have our,
Yeah.
he does rent from the town too, which is.
We would be
interesting.
responsible for the permit.
Yeah, that's not good too.
Okay, thank you, folks.
One other thing, Drew.
Yes, ma'am.
If you had to guess, McElwee wants that building by Christmas. Do you think that's gonna happen?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what we've imposed on ourselves.
Mhm.
There's no reason that can't happen unless the Board of Ed runs me through the ringer about giving us permission before he actually owns it.
Mhm.
But there's no reason it can't be done unless we can't get the permission. That's what we're working on right now.
Okay.
Because, I mean, Josh Dillon told me he can put it up in a weekend. So realistically, that's 2 weeks in contractor's
You can
terms.
get him real quick.
Right.
That's the problem. Good. Okay.
Well, it's 7-day garage went up in 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Roughly 2 weeks. They're on Reader Valley.
And that was only 2 people working on it.
So.
They did almost all the ones in, behind Pete's at Ace Hardware.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those buildings do go up fast.
Mhm.
Drew, I want his name.
Okay.
Okay. Police department.
Okay. Chief Riser's on a well-deserved vacation. I hope he's enjoying himself. For the month of October, it was the chief, myself, and Officer James Sword working. He was cut loose on the 3rd of October, so he's been on his own now. We had 65 calls for service, made 230 traffic stops, checked 372 businesses, made control checks, had 1 criminal charge. We had 3 significant criminal cases. First one being the scissor lift that was up here behind Giovanni's was damaged. The initial estimate for the damage was 10 grand. Ended up getting it fixed for a lot less, around 2,500. But the chief got the info, learned that a neighbor heard banging on a weekend night, a little after midnight. Operations manager did an excellent job finding the car, getting the tag. We run the tag and ended up being an ex-employee of him who he fired a year ago. Chief worked it out that the guy paid for the damage, and Mr. Reese was happy with no charges being filed at this time. Kid has no record at all. So that case is closed out now as the damage is taken care of. The second was 2 thefts from Ace Hardware and a burglary of the house back there. Greg Alton works for the Hagerstown City Police Department, deals with pawn shops. He found a steel blower stolen, or sold in a pawn shop in Hagerstown. Steel's very good on who owns their product. Greg found out Ace Hardware was the owner. They didn't even know it was stolen. So he contacted the chief. Chief goes down. They went and got video because they didn't know it was stolen, but they found video and saw the suspect. The very next day, the same suspect comes back, tries to do it again. Employees chase him, and he runs up the road, breaks into that house garage, goes in, steals clothes, changes clothes, eats, I think it was applesauce, some food, stuff like that. County gets down, takes him into custody, was able to charge him with burglary, first degree for the house, theft from Ace. And of course, we knew who the guy was, so Officer Sword did a report, and we got charges served on him before he got out of jail. He is from West Virginia, but him and his wife are homeless and shoplifting the heck out of Hagerstown. So I met with him at the detention center, served him with a trespass letter for Ace Hardware, but told him he should probably stay out of Bootsville. And I think he got the message.
What house did they break into when they left Ace?
It's, is it Main Street, the address?
No,
It's
it's
right-
Monument, it's
the one
the first house on the farm lane
Yeah.
off of Monument Drive. Right behind Ace.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm
Bud
talking-
Russell Morgan.
The old farmhouse.
I don't think he went all the way back to the
It's at the dead
farmhouse. I don't think he went all the way back.
It's in
There's
that-
another house up further on that lane.
Oh, okay.
So I think, I don't know, I'm assuming.
But yeah, the employees of Ace chased him down there, said he was in there, and sure enough, he was. When I spoke to him at the jail, this was like a $2,500 piece of equipment. The pawn shop gave him $250. You know. All right, the last one, we had a FedEx package stolen up on Manfield Court. The package was stolen right after it was delivered. Officer Sword had handled that case, or I'm sorry, Officer Rogers is handling that one right now. He was with the chief. Spoke with the sheriff's department. Apparently, a Dominican cartel hacked FedEx and is selling these tracking numbers to people, and they're going online to see when they're delivered, and they're going to pick them up. The county has made 2 arrests so far in this case. We, on our case, we have sent a subpoena to FedEx. We got all the information on who accessed the tracking number to FedEx. We now have to send a subpoena to find out who the owner of the IP address that accesses around the time of delivery. It may be a dead end, but we may be able to charge somebody. And it was an Apple iPhone, $1,000 phone, something like that, that they sold. Can't make it up.
Oh my gosh. You said what cartel?
Dominican cartel is what they're telling us.
Cartel.
Hack FedEx,
Around.
and they're showing the tracking numbers.
Do you know people in Boonesboro have firearms?
I don't know, because it was a Jeep. Jeep
Renegade.
White Jeep Renegade. I haven't seen one yet, so somebody not in there. Those are the 3 significant ones we had. Officer Sword was cut loose on the 3rd, I said, so he's been on his own doing well. He came with me to the Democratic rally they had in the park the other day. I think 30 people showed up. No problems there. The cruising for kids, trunk or treat, man, that was busy.
That's always.
A lot of kids, a lot of people, a lot of food trucks. You know, I like food trucks.
No.
And Rogers is done comparative compliance. He's currently in field training, only a few more days, and he'll be on his own. It's just going to be a long process of him learning DC to Maryland and so forth. But he's doing well. And all of us, all 4 of us, including Amy, attended trick or treat. Wow. Wow, is all I could say. And no issues. No issues, so that's really good.
Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions?
Now, do you want to say publicly, Amy found on the video about the big boom?
So that loud
Yeah.
bang that everybody heard was somebody, I'm assuming it could be youth, but we don't know, set off the ground to air fireworks up in the park.
Greg?
I found him.
Just-
found
He
He found, yeah, they threw them all in a trash can or whatever, but yeah, we saw it heard it first. And then Greg came over and was listening. I said, Greg, where is this coming from? And he's like, oh, Amy, that's fireworks. He actually saw the trail. So I'm like, oh, yeah, you're sure right. I found it from another angle. So yeah,
Almost like you have experience.
Telling you the girl's an asset.
We couldn't find the witch yet.
couldn't find what?
The witch.
No,
We tried and tried, but we couldn't get the camera clear
No.
enough to
no,
pick her up.
nope, nope. Unfortunately, sorry.
There's a witch in Boonesboro? Looked like it. Somebody was dressed up like one night.
If your house for sale at 507 Brookridge Drive, I'll be,
Tires.
I don't do witches.
Thank you, sir. Mayor and council correspondence updates. Anybody have anything? I did attend the Maryland Municipal League Fall Conference in Cambridge last week. It was cut a little short due to my misfortunes, but we had largest fall conference they ever had, 410 attendees and 90 municipalities were there, so it was very, very well attended. I kind of missed the curve and ended up on the sidewalk, as you can tell. So,
Do you want to tell them we attended this high school?
yeah, that's right. Tony and I attended the Veterans Day program at the Boonesboro High School, which was well attended by the veterans, and the school kids were very well behaved. Very nice guest speaker, Mrs. Hamilton.
Starling.
Starling
Hamilton.
She was the speaker, and she was
Retired gunnery sergeant from the United States Marine
She
Corps.
was in her dress blues.
Oh, yeah.
She was dressed up in a Marine uniform, and she did an excellent job. She always does a good job.
She did.
I was a senior when she was first year teaching. He gave her a run for her money.
She's really very nice.
Very nice.
Very nice program.
And the
Nice to be there.
Maryland State American Legion commander was there too and spoke. So, very well attended. If you ever get a chance to do it, it's always Friday before Veterans Day, and it's open to the public. So, if you get a chance, it's at 9 o'clock in the morning. Very, very nice. Anybody else have anything? Did everyone get a copy of the 2024 Municipal Government Works Proclamation? Good, I don't have to read it then. Save more time. Town of Boonesboro, Maryland, Municipal Proclamation. It's one of the proclamations we do for municipal government for the Maryland Municipal League. And it helps us towards continuing to be a banner city for MML throughout our years. I don't know how many years we have done it now in a row.
So many.
We've filled up one plaque and we're on our second one. So do I have a motion to accept the Maryland Municipal League Municipal Government Works Proclamation?
So moved.
Second.
And we have a motion, a second, and further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstained, motion carries. Revision to personnel manual.
So the personnel committee has met a couple times over the last couple of months, and there are a few things that we were talking about putting in place, and they all needed to be compiled into an updated personnel manual. So I'll just go over the items that were added or revised. So on page 4 of the personnel manual, the commissions and boards, the Boonesboro Municipal Utilities Commission, I believe it was 7 members before, and now it is 9. One of those is not a treasurer any longer, but there is a consulting member now. So So for that page, the chain of command, Brian did a new image for how the chain of command goes. Just, I felt the other one was kind of misleading, so we just did a new image for that. It's not a big change. On page 7, an addition of administrative leave. This reads, at the discretion of their supervisor, employees may be awarded administrative leave in recognition of a job well done. This type of leave is reserved for situations in which employees go above and beyond their regular duties. This leave cannot be accrued, carried over into the next year, is non-compensable, and must be used within the time frame specified by the employee's supervisor. The uniform allowance, which was approved at a previous mayor and council meeting, the details of that are added on page 12. On page 16, we added floating holidays for the police department. This was something that the chief had brought up because the police have to work on holidays. So this reads, full-time sworn officers of the Boonsboro Police Department receive floating holidays. They are earned as each holiday occurs, cannot be carried over into the next year, and are non-compensatory. Floating holiday accrual begins on July 1 of each year and ends on June 30th, so to follow the fiscal year. Any floating holidays remaining after June 30th will be forfeited. Full-time officers who work on a town-observed holiday receive regular pay for time worked. Part-time sworn officers who work on town-observed holidays receive either double pay for hours worked or regular pay plus comp time for hours worked. So an example would be if they work 8 hours on a holiday, they could get 8 hours regular pay plus 8 hours comp time. And then on page 17, well, the new page 17, we added the recognition of 20 years of service. At the conclusion of an employee's 20th year of service, an additional 40 hours of vacation leave will be added to the employee's leave balance. This is a one-time addition. The employee will resume his or her regular rate of accumulation after the 20th year. On page 22, we added the health insurance benefit credit. If an employee is covered under another plan and elects to opt out of the town's health insurance benefits, the employee may be eligible for the health insurance benefit credit. Eligibility will be evaluated at the beginning of each calendar year. Eligible recipients are full-time, non-probationary employees who did not elect coverage under town insurance during the prior 12-month period. So it's a retroactive credit. Employees will have the option of receiving either $1,000 or 40 hours of vacation leave. So this is modeled after what Washington County government does. And then the final changes, we had eliminated the police department administrative specialist position and replaced it with the police department operations manager. So on page 26, the job description or the pay grades was revised accordingly, and then the chief wrote an updated job description for police sergeant, which is incorporated, and then we replaced the admin specialist job description with the operations manager job description. So that was a very quick overview of changes, but most of those had already been discussed in prior meetings. So does anybody have any questions about those? And if not, we just need an approval to accept the revised manual.
I did have a question under the police sergeant. It said you must possess a valid Maryland driver's license, but one of the other ones just said a valid driver's license. So I just wondered, like, if we hired a West Virginia resident. And if you're a West Virginia resident,
how about a valid driver's license?
that's what I was
Yeah,
suggesting.
valid
That's what I
driver's
thought. So I thought maybe that was just, I didn't know whether like, or if they had to actually get a Maryland one, or I saw that in there. And well, I saw it different in the other, and that's why it made me question it.
Yeah, because West probably had a West Virginia driver's
Well, that's what I
license,
thought.
He started off with a Maryland though, and then switched to West Virginia, yeah, so.
Because of where we are, we're so close to PA and West Virginia that I didn't know that that was something that was Maryland. you know, but then I
Well,
saw
they have
your.
a valid driver's license.
Yeah, one of the other descriptions just said valid driver's license, so that's what it made me think maybe that needed fixed.
And if you wanna go further, say we don't want an international license, we want some, valid driver's license and maybe grant permission to drive a motor vehicle in the state of Maryland.
Well, no, not in the state of Maryland.
In the state of Maryland, not by the state.
Oh, okay.
If you're gonna do that, you have to do it
Don't
for
get a
all the
German driver's
descriptions.
license.
Right.
What'd you say?
I said, if you do that, you're gonna have to do it in all the descriptions, because I think all the other ones, like Mary Lee said, it only says valid driver's
It said valid
license.
driver's license.
Yeah, valid driver's license. You're not gonna hire him.
No.
I was looking
You
at
gotta have a
Luxembourg guys
license.
the other day.
At a what?
The guy from Luxembourg was talking about.
So then the only other one I had about was the police department operations manager. It does say special requirement, 5 years performing secretarial clerical work with the police department. I didn't know whether you wanted to add like, or equivalent, like I thought, you know, if somebody came from like a district attorney's office or something, they would have maybe the same kind of skills, but it wouldn't necessarily be a police department. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know what happens if you hire someone that doesn't meet those or
Trying to
if
get
flexibility
Amy's
allowed.
position on that, but
Yeah.
I feel like part of being able to run the operations of a police department comes from having experience.
If you don't
in
have somebody, I can speak from experience, because when I came over, I had no police experience.
Right.
But if you don't have police, at least a few years of police experience, you're not gonna be able to run that office.
Well, and that's why I just wondered if you just, you know what I mean, like, 'cause what happens if
Her
you get
job is,
somebody
yeah,
who's had 4 years
training commission
and
and
out,
all that
you know what I
stuff.
mean? Like,
Yeah, you got a lot you gotta learn, so you don't wanna just hire somebody. You gotta be selective.
That was the secretary of doctor's.
Yeah.
To,
Yeah.
So I make a motion that we accept this, revisions of the personnel manual, with the corrections pointed out by Mary Lee regarding the license section of the.
I'll second.
You have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing
Great
none.
work. Yep.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. Revisions to building procedures.
All right, so the bidding procedures we talked about in the workshop a couple weeks ago. I incorporated what we had talked about, and then the suggestions that were made in that meeting. So the biggest changes are, we increased the max that's in Article 1 from 20,000 to 50,000. Bids need to be published at least once in a local newspaper in addition to advertisement on the town's website. All sealed bids will be opened by the town manager or a selection committee, specially formed by the town manager. In Article 2, the $50,000 was changed there as well. I added Article 4, allowing for sole source procurement. Article 5, the solicitation time. Previous bidding procedures did not have any time. I had proposed 28 days. Mary Lee said she felt that was kind of too long, so I changed it to 21 days, which I think is still a decent amount of time, but not too much. Excuse me. Article 6, emergency purchases. So the wording that I changed since the workshop was emergency purchases must be authorized by the treasurer and the town manager or mayor. And then Article 7 was added, which references the green purchasing policy. So it's very similar to what you saw just a couple weeks ago, but I incorporated the changes you had suggested.
I have a problem with Article 7, and I'm want as quickly as possible. Can anybody define to me, and I will shut my mouth if someone can immediately tell me what social equity means? I don't think so, because nobody knows what it means. It's not necessary here. It's completely nothing to do with this policy. Matter of fact, I would even move to remove entire Article 7, as it really does not pertain to anything we do here. The days of political correctness and social equity are coming to a close, and I think we need to begin here at the local level. So that's what I have to say. I will recommend, if you have an issue with anything that I say tonight, I'll make a motion to table this, and I'll have a presentation as to why we should modify this and take these things out at a later time, if you prefer. I would not be voting for it because of that section, I'm done.
That wording, by the way, was taken directly from the sustainable procurement policy. So
From the
just,
state of Maryland.
no.
No, it's
From
ours,
town.
part of the Sustainable Maryland thing, we made it eligible for grant money.
Yeah, I know, well, there's a
It's
lot of
already
things,
in
and
our
we
budget.
don't have to
I
like them.
know.
Right, I
State
just.
of Maryland says that and our policy says we use state of Maryland, minority, women-owned, and emerging small businesses in our considerations. We don't have time for that, and I think that, I think we need to use fiscal responsibility and be good stewards of what's in our community and find the best deal. Social equity, equality is not equity, okay? Equality is opportunity. Equity is station, modifying what someone gets or receives to make them equal with others, not based upon performance or anything else, and I think that doesn't belong here. Again, being said,
And if the word social equity were taken out, would you be okay with it?
I have a problem with the whole green person anyway, but I'm not gonna argue with you.
So if we take that
I would like to
article
remove the word
out
social equity.
and don't mess with the green purchasing policy at this time of year. Like if we strike Article 7 completely.
I would like to strike Article 7 completely.
Then
But you don't
fine,
have to
but
agree with me.
Understand, we still have a green purchasing policy, like in our,
Green purchase,
Thing.
wait, I don't.
yeah, I know, I said that's part of our Sustainable Maryland and grant thing.
So we're gonna make a
We
policy
wouldn't be
just so we can
discussing
get
that
grants.
tonight. huh?
We're gonna have a policy just so we can get grants.
We almost
We
have to,
did.
Ray.
I know,
I know, it kind of sucks, but you gotta
I
play
don't-
the game in the state of
I
Maryland.
agree with you 100%.
I don't give a damn. I am not ethically gonna do this anymore. I'm not playing this game anymore, and it starts here at the local level. Vote 5-1 if you want to. I'm not playing this game anymore. I find it unethical, I find it unfair, and I think those days are coming to an end, but I don't wanna delay this anymore. I would move to strike Article 7 entirely.
I'll second striking Article 7 entirely from the
Thank you.
bidding procedures thing and move forward.
You don't have to agree with me.
We have a motion and a second to strike Article 7 on our revision of bidding procedures.
That was kind of my fault, I asked. that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Okay, can I clarify, was that just striking Article 7?
Yes.
Or was that striking Article 7 and approving the rest of?
So that was just.
That's
to
just
strike
striking Article 7.
and then
Everything
we can
else is-
make A
everything else.
motion to
Okay.
pass the new resolution, which I don't know what the number is, for the bidding procedures, which I think you did a very nice job on.
Yes.
It doesn't mean go dump Clorox in the stream. I mean, let's be
Looks like it'd be a
responsible without having to
resolution.
make a big deal out of it.
It's not numbered yet.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it wasn't numbered, so I didn't know
Okay,
what
so I need,
resolution number it is.
Yeah.
okay, well, I wasn't sure how that process had
Yeah.
to work, so I need to have all of that part, like it needs to be advertised on paper and all
Oh, we
that
have to.
stuff.
If
do
it's-
resolution?
We don't have to advertise
No.
I think we have to do resolution.
Resolutions do not have to be
You
out.
know
So
what,
it's-
well, you know
Kim
what our
would know
next
the next
resolution number
resolution
would
number.
be?
Yeah, Kim would.
Yeah, give me a second here.
Well, no,
She won't take her a minute to find it.
okay, well, do you wanna move on while she looks it up?
Okay, while you look it up, we'll go on.
Thank you, Councilman.
Approval of contract of sales.
And unfortunately, we can't move on with that. There was a bit of so our attorney is supposed to be drafting this contract of sale between us and Scott McElwee, and she was thinking that she needed to have it this week, not last week. So, we have a call tomorrow just to make sure that we're on the same page, so I'll have to bring that back to you at a later time.
Do we need to plan a special meeting or anything to keep it moving forward by the timeline, or I just,
Can I see how long it
Okay.
takes her to draft
I
it?
just wanna make sure we don't
6.
hold things up.
Excuse me? 6, resolution 6.
2024-06.
So I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-06, which is an amendment to resolution 88-9, amended by resolution 2003-09 of the new bidding procedures.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, motion carries.
Okay, and then we are tabling approval of contract of sale.
Yes.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to do that, or?
We just don't have any information on it.
No, the last thing we tabled, we didn't make a motion.
Okay, Personnel Committee recommendations for promotion and pay increases.
Okay, Curtis Wyan in the Public Works Department passed his, write it down, what's it called, Greg?
His water distribution test.
Nice.
He passed that, so the Personnel Committee met and discussed that, and, I think that our recommendation was to promote Curtis to Municipal Service Worker 2, and, offer an increase of 5% in pay. Is that right?
Okay, do I have a motion to promote Curtis One?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries.
All right, the contract award for the construction management and inspection of the reservoir, we received 2 bids. One was from WRA and the other was from Arrow. They're both companies that we've worked with in the past. We've had good experiences with both of them. The bid from WRA was $506,813. The proposal from Arrow was $352,000. Because we only received 2 bids, instead of having an actual selection committee, I just solicited input from the BMUC, which they conducted by email because there was not a meeting to accommodate the schedule for getting it approved. Colin, do you want to speak to the input that was received from them?
I sent out an email, and I think it was disseminated to you guys, to Rachel. That's a synopsis of what the discussions were. Of the 6 members, 4 put in really good discussion. There was a lot of nice back and forth, kept it civil. Unfortunately, I cannot offer you a unanimous agreement upon the BMUC. It was pretty much split. Of the 4, 2 think WRA is the option to go through because of project continuity. They believe that they've been with us day one, that it should carry on as such. There's a competing school of thought that says maybe there's confirmation bias that is now building within WRA because this is their project. Maybe sourcing it out to Arrow would have an extra set of eyes on it. Then there was the fiscally responsible option. You're talking about $150,000. That's a big chunk of money. So those were pretty much the 2 big competing arguments there.
Colin, what was it, I apologize, the word used, what kind of bias?
Confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias.
Correct. So you essentially start creating an echo chamber. Your thoughts continue to grow and grow and grow, and you never get input from something else. So that's
Was
where
there staff have input? Or do you have a preference?
Arrow's gonna do just as good a job as Wickman. Right.
And that's another thing to consider. Arrow has a field office in Frederick, and as Drew highlighted, that is honestly probably the discrepancy in prices. WRA is sending a field tech from Baltimore. Arrow is based out of Lancaster, and they have a field office in Frederick. The contract, they have to follow the rules of the contract, so they have to have an employee on site so many hours, they have to do so many tests, they have to do so many reviews, this and that. So both of them aren't offering that same.
Yeah, there was a couple slight differences, like one had 20 RFIs versus 10, one had 10 change orders, one had 4. I didn't know if any of that,
There's also, it's worth pointing out that WRA had initially thought that it would be, I think, $563,000 for this, and then they dropped the price to $506,000. I might not have the best input for it, but my perception would be that we should have another set of eyes on it because WRA does have their hand in it so much. Just kind of the checks and balances, make sure, I'm not trying to propose they do anything sneaky, but just to make sure.
And the other thing I did notice where it says contractor shall provide an office trailer on site.
That's in the
Claiming
specs.
this person, so that's in our specs, so they're both expecting that. And
That is provided by
and the contractor
HRI.
knows
Yep. He doesn't know who's going in it, but he knows he's gotta
we
provide
gotta
it.
have one. All right. questions I had, because one was more
So
stated.
does anybody in the gallery have any reason to figure out to justify a 30% difference here? I mean, it's
Gotta be travel.
What's that?
Travel.
Probably travel.
Anything else, I mean, you think it's quality or the combined with the work?
I think that WRA, because of their size and the length of time they've been around, I mean, they're huge. I mean, they have engineers that can do everything. I think their overhead rate's just more. Lancaster is a employee-owned company, and it's a big company that does a lot of work, but it doesn't have the overhead rates that WRA does. And look, WRA, you pay for overhead rates because just like when we were doing the water line, the high pressure line, they had bridge guys right there in their staff. They didn't have to go and call someone and find someone that does. I mean, happens to be they designed the bridge that's out there on 34, you know. So you get that expertise. We've gotten through the permits. Now we just need somebody to come out there and watch what's happening and keep the town's investment and make sure we're getting what we designed. And the other thing that does happen, and I did work for an engineering firm and I did do construction management, and this does happen. If the construction management company is working for WRA and they find a mistake in the design, do you think they're calling us first, or do you think they're calling their boss back at WRA first to figure out how to fix it? That's just normal. I mean, who's paying your paycheck? I'm just, you know.
So you're pointing out that there might end up being
There's a conflict,
increased
yeah.
costs because we're gonna have to have the T&M with,
We might.
right? So that is something to consider. Now, is it going to be, yeah, is it gonna be that much? No, but there will be additional costs most likely.
Change orders happen all the time, Mary. Like I had
Well,
one.
I know, that's what you just said, one of them counts that says we're allowed 4, and the other one said we were allowed 10.
I had a change order I took care of in 5 minutes on Brandon last
So
week.
Arrow's allowing us 10, where WRA was only allowing us 4 change orders. So I just thought that was kind of a low number in a 500-day project, because we had that many with the Philly Press.
Right. We had 3.
We've used Arrow before, and they've done it all right.
They built the water plants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, unless we have a very good reason, which I haven't heard, to award it to WRA, Arrow is perfectly capable of doing this, and in my opinion, following up on what Rachel said, she's very polite. Awarding this to WRA, in my mind, is kind of like the fox watching the hen house. So I think Arrow is the way to go, and I'm willing to make that motion. Mayor.
Thank you.
I'll second
Okay.
We have a motion and a second to accept Arrow's contract.
$352,000.
You know,
And that is low bid.
and that is located. Is there any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstain, motion carries.
Mayor, if I may, Greg is good at what he does, and I think this is the right move to take the burden off of him and the rest of the staff.
Oh, absolutely.
The liability of what this project is, this is a generational project. Like, if my children stay in this area, that reservoir is going to be servicing their water needs. Like, Greg, you're good at what you do, but it's not fair to throw that on your shoulders. This is a good.
This reservoir has to last longer than what the old one did.
Right.
And none of us will see it.
Okay, talk for yourself.
Exactly.
So we have, how many awards will you have by then?
I'll see you Wednesday.
Okay. Commission's report, Park Board, what do you got, Ricky?
Okay, they met it.
Good night.
What do y'all want? I'm just starting.
That's 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, well, I'll get up at 6. Okay. Our board that was held, their meeting on October 23rd. Under unfinished business, the walking trail, of course, you've done, Greg told you, everybody's in Vegas. The basketball rebaiting, of course, we know about that right now too. Under tree board meeting was held October 27th, approved, attached protective shields and do general maintenance to the park trees. And the dogwoods that have died, and the Vicky Messner Memorial Garden will be replaced in the spring. Greg sprayed, I guess Greg's crew sprayed the Tree of Heaven trees around the area, and they're dying, so that's a good thing. And, let's see, disc golf, Fred's ongoing. What? I didn't ask for you. Old Time Christmas, we got the high school band, the fire truck, and Santa.
And Roarsville band.
And the Roarsville band. And I think we're trying to get the Hooterville band.
Was Tony gonna be a reindeer this year?
We're gonna try to get some extra, seats and see what we can do. Let's see, Lauren will contact Boy Scouts. That's, yeah. The park board would like to acquire a large Christmas tree up to about $250 to be decorated for the park.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna say
How
200
much are they
feet.
gonna get for $250?
Huh?
A real tree?
Yeah, like we did last.
Yeah, they did last year. I think it was donated
Last year was donated.
Yeah.
Charlie Brown tree.
I said, we'll pay for it.
No, we got a bigger tree, so we didn't have a Charlie Brown tree.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good organized deal.
We're supposedly have money in there, whatchamacallit.
And how much budget?
The park board would also like to have a ribbon cutting ceremony for the completed walking path to coincide with the Arbor Day, Earth Day, park cleanup. Excuse me, I'm talking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
On April 27th, 2025. And the next meeting is December 4th at the community center.
The ribbon cutting, coordinate that with the EDC, because they do that all the time.
Yeah.
Bring everybody in.
Yeah, that's what they wanted. I said, talk to them.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, Tyler's on that.
the Tyler's on it, so he's gonna do it.
As you said, April 27th, you plan on having that.
Yeah, they'd like to do a ribbon, yeah. Yeah.
Anybody have any questions for Rick? Thank you, sir. Utilities Commission, Tony?
Sure. So first of all, December the 9th is our December council meeting, and I will be out of town. Just to let you know way ahead of time. So there's that. BMUC last met on October the 16th. There were no public comments. Under old business, the Schaefer Park well, Superintendent Shoemaker stated that they're waiting on MDE for review of lab results. We just found out tonight that that's been handled. The reservoir, our town planner said that the project was put out for bid and awarded. HRI was awarded the bids of $5.9 million, and they are the current contractor working on the dewatering press. Crestview water pressure reduction. The preliminary plans were reviewed. Additional comments are to be added before sending them back to the engineer. And we'll also need to involve Crestview HOA for the line location and stream crossing. Lead service line inventory, EADS Group is the vendor that we employed. All that work has been completed, and they are in the process of inputting the data. All required documentation has been submitted to MDE before our deadline date. Internal water audit, there was no update. Reservoir contingency plan, again, there was no update. The EDU availability update, we had that discussion. It's a living document that will give us our EDU capacity, and that's going to be presented on a quarterly basis. And we're currently at 92 available EDUs. New connection at the Boonesboro Rescue Squad, they were in and when they are moving forward with their expansion at their current location. Town planner will be reviewing plans to determine their new EDU capacity. Under new business, the recognition of Ray Huffman for the dewatering press has been postponed until spring of 2025. An ordinance regarding wastewater and water for the town of Boonesboro does not exist for us currently, and we're reviewing a rough draft. And MDE also has requirements that will need to be followed as well. Under systems reports, we heard from Superintendent Shoemaker about the Keedysville pump station. that the pump at the Keysville Spring was removed and is being checked for possible repair or replace. And the wastewater treatment plant, they have a system out there that's called a potable pressure tank and UV system that needs to be replaced with a cost of approximately $9,000. And Superintendent Huntsberry reported that there was a new connection on 222 Center Street, and that they are still working to replace some of the defective water meters. And Chairman Schanberger asked for a quote at our next meeting for current replacement cost of meters so that we can get some on order. The town planner received the request about Route 34 pump station capacity, which we talked about that earlier this evening, and that's the farm there next to the library on Route 34. And we meet again on Wednesday, November the 20th, right here at 6 p.m.
Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions of Tony? Hearing none. Planning Commission.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. I always say by the time I give these reports, things have changed. It's old news. Then Drew gives his report, and I have nothing to say.
Good job.
But we talked about Mr. McElwee under concept plans. We talked about Mr. McElwee and the pole building being built before the land swap is really official, but talking about they didn't build the pole building. We were talking about negotiating the price of buying him out on the house. That has since been negotiated and being executed. Under preliminary site plans, House Dairy Store, they have revised their site plan to remove the car wash and have diesel pumps instead, satellite diesel pumps, if y'all know what they are. That means you pull vehicle in and you have a pump on both sides to fill the tanks. So they're moving ahead of that. Staff comment, at the time, staff comments were forthcoming on these plans, and commission comments as well would be forthcoming. Here's a picture up there of what they got.
So they had a car wash, that's what they had originally. Now what they're proposing is they've removed the car wash, they put in the high pressure diesel pumps and reconfigured their islands.
How many islands are there?
There were three, well, if you counted the car wash, there were three. There were 2 aisles for pumps and 1 for the drive-through. Now it's just 1 island.
How many pumps are there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 on the.
5 doubles.
Good, I'm sorry, I never caught with the satellite pumps as opposed to car wash. How many EDUs did that decrease for them? Did we ever figure that out?
No, they have not sent me an updated, but it's going down.
Oh,
I'll tell you that.
yeah, it has.
It's not gonna be 3 anymore. Because now the only thing that you have in there basically is going to be a bathroom for the employees, a hand wash sink, and maybe a water service area out around the site, for public
They
restroom.
probably have to have a public restroom.
Yeah, they probably will.
Oh, they'll definitely have public restrooms.
Yes, but they won't.
They will, but I don't think it's gonna be one like
Right,
Sheets
yeah.
where it's
Right,
7
yeah.
stalls
Yeah.
and all these. I think you're gonna see something more along the lines. Right, like an AT&T, a smaller one. So that's just what we're looking
So under the comp plan, we've rescheduled twice now to have a kickoff meeting with Arrow, who is our consultant on that. We were going to meet tomorrow night, as a matter of fact. Is the reason I didn't sign up.
It's Thursday night. Oh.
It's tomorrow night, that's why I did not sign up to go to Golden Bears. But tomorrow night has been now scheduled to November 21 at 6 o'clock.
You can still sign up for Golden Bears.
Well, I didn't, I just didn't remember.
So now it's a Thursday at 6?
So
I think it's a taste Wednesday too.
Just under other discussion, it seems like the floor always gets opened up in there for all kinds of stuff flying around. We talked a little bit about the pole building up here that Drew's already mentioned. I went by there today and checked it out. Pretty nice looking pole building.
Oh, the one in Reader? Oh, yeah.
Up here in Reader's a lot. Of course, the Easter Day subject came up, and we've heard about that. We talked a little bit about LVI Homes being interested in buying the former King Road Associates ground, or still currently King Road Associates. And there was also discussion about the Kufner Farm beside the library, the 38 acres, to possibly be sold to a developer.
Just to be clear, the 10-acre parcel with the barn, the pasture, the house, they are not selling that for development. They are keeping that as their home. When they can't maintain the home anymore, it'll probably be sold as an estate lot or something like that. I mean, that's something, you know, that they were very clear. And I was very upfront with them from the very beginning, and same with developers. You try to put a house in front of that barn, never gonna fly. It's never gonna fly.
I wish the town had a lot of money to buy that 38 acres right there adjacent to the sewer plant. I think that'd be great, but,
We could get some money if we sold the town farm.
well, I'm not a fan of selling the town farm.
I think we should have a discussion about that.
Well, on a
It's
side
big
note,
farm, so.
on a side note, my son came to visit me in Water Bride, and her parents from Mississippi. He's a metal detector, so I actually contacted Terry and asked for permission to metal detect on that property there, which is from the 1700s, and he found a 1792 coin in that very field.
It's mine, I lost it.
Yeah. And a couple of other things, you know, because there was some camera that was actually put that. I thought that was pretty cool. I appreciate her letting him do that. Sounds right on that.
That's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Anybody got any questions there? EDC, Ray?
Yeah, they worked, that little separate meeting, and worked on the comp plan items to get to Drew. Did you get something from the EDC?
Yes, Terry and I are going back and forth. I'm coming back to the EDC meeting to kind of formulate what you all have to take it back to the planning commission.
We'll talk about that later on, just let you know that we've done that. They had Boom Fest on the 26th. I mean, it wasn't a giant event, for those of you who were around, a lot of people were just moderate turnout, but it didn't rain this year, so that was good. I got a chance to visit the Trolley Museum with Ruben. That's really interesting. If you haven't been in there, that's a really nice setup they got in there. Thursday, we're having this Thursday from 6 to 9, I guess from 6 or so, you can't make it, Eric, but we're having the commission mixers where all the commissioners get together and.
We'll be there.
Okay.
Tomorrow, I can't think.
Oh, okay, so tomorrow. Okay, that's good. So it's Thursday, the 14th, we're at the mixer. We're gonna make a couple advertisements they just voted on to, they got an advertisement in the Visitor Bureau magazine, like half page on the town of Boonesboro. And we're gonna put 2 signs up, 2 EDC signs at the National Road Museum. We're gonna kind of get together with them and use their area as a general visitor area for the town. And next meeting's on the 11th of December.
Thank you, sir.
See you all Thursday night, I hope. It'll be nice.
Ricky already bought my ticket.
Well, he's all spoiled.
What?
He said he's gonna buy mine too. I'm still waiting.
Okay, anybody got any questions of Ray? Thank you, sir. Environmental Commission, Terry?
We didn't have a meeting since our last meeting. Tomorrow night.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything to come before the council? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, can I just
Oh,
ask
yes.
Rachel something? Did you get any information from Dr. Manor about what he's been doing for us?
Yeah, we wanted to report. I feel like we've hanging up on it. We should at least get
What we're getting out of it.
update, like how he spends his time.
Were you guys copied on the email he sent with this?
Yeah, I think it was November 4th. I don't know what that was. I think. the
I know it
date he
came
said
to a
was-
grant meeting.
He said a meeting
but-
on November 4th, and I thought, what is that?
Yeah.
It's probably our grant.
So have the only done one meeting since. You know what I
That
mean?
is
Like
a-
that's our.
It is a monthly meeting, but I mean, they're not in session right now, so there's
Yeah,
not
it's not
a lot.
I think I'd just like to see, like, something
Yeah,
showing how much money he's been getting for us, you know, just
He
some
told us
Right now,
he
he's-
meets with
he's-
them all session and gets, I know, there's just been elections, so he felt.
We had
He
a
doesn't do federal grants, so.
conference call with, that, one senator, I
Yeah,
can't
that's
remember what his name was, about a week or so ago. So he is making contacts, different people throwing out our name and different things that we want.
He's put in
or
3
need.
requests for us for this upcoming cycle. One is funding for the, oh gosh, help me, Crestview bypass
Yes.
is one.
The municipal building.
The, new public works building
And
and,
police station combination.
well, for starters, just because I want to be able to go back to next year and ask for the police station to go to. And then what was the third request?
Well, that,
Meters.
and that's just the
Meters,
kind of thing I want to.
Yeah, that's what
When
you
it's
Meters.
done.
give us that kind of a.
Well, I can give you that kind of
When the
update.
meters-
Yeah, exactly. We're paying him.
Give us the report.
That's all right.
I was gonna say, the last thing we got from him was
Was it
October
meters?
20th.
Was it the advance meter?
What'd you get? I
I
never
think
knew
so.
that.
Yeah.
Advanced meter.
Rachel,
the
hope
advanced
you're well.
meter instruction.
Sorry,
It goes
what?
all down through there. Yeah. Rachel said it.
That's fine. I mean, I just wanted to know what he's been doing.
How often would you like,
Well, I don't know, like quarterly, yeah, quarterly's fine.
All the town's
That's
requests have been submitted and including the ongoing follow-ups.
I just turned it on, back on. The other thing, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
Second. We have a yeah, we have a second. All-
Yeah.
Okay, discussion, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nay.
Nay. Abstain. Motion carries.